Okay, I have finished the quilting on the Dick&Jane quilt, which I really like the way it turned out, especially these Baptist fan quilting design. I really like that, and you know, it really goes by fast. Actually, that's my favorite design for any quilt, just because it goes fast. And since I hand quilt, I really don't like to take forever on a quilt. And on the borders, I'll show it to you in a minute what the right side looks like. But right now, this is what the back side of the quilt looks like. And the borders, I decided to go with a circle theme. So I made circles, since, you know, this has a whole bunch of little dots. I hope you can see the design. And this is the right side of the quilt. I love it. At first it was going to be a quilt for a girl, but it looks boyish to me, so it's got a lot of blue, so I'm gonna just, you know, it's gonna be for a boy now. And the reason I have these pins right here is because I'm going to be quilting a circle there, and the reason for that is that I was left with a bubble there, and I didn't like it at all. I guess I didn't stretch out you know, the layers when I first started quilting it, because I always start in the center, and so I just pinned that, and I want to sew a circle around it. So hopefully that'll get rid of that little bubble, which was right here. And the binding, I decided to do 3/8 of an inch binding, which means that when I fold over the binding, it's going to be 3/8 of an inch, like this, right here. Right here. And to get that, I had to cut. First of all, I measure the quilt all the way around and double that, and cut my strips of that measurement. Like, I think this was like 204. So I just went up to 240. And whatever strips I have left, I can just use them for a scrap quilt. Anyway, I cut my strips 240 inches. Well, not exactly. I cut them the width of the fabric, and just cut, sew the strips together, edit the strips until it measured 240. And I cut the strips 1 3/4 inches wide, and that's what's going to give me the 3/8 of an inch wide binding. So what I do is I use my walking foot, not my presser foot, my walking foot when I put on the binding, because I don't want the bottom flannel, you know, to bunch up or anything. And you'll get a perfect sewed on binding with a walking foot. So once I have sewn the binding to the front of the quilt, I turn it over. I turn the binding over. I fold the binding up to the edge of the quilt, and then I fold again, and then I pin. Like that. And I pin all the way around like this, and then I hand sew the binding on to the back side of the quilt. And the reason I hand sew the binding onto the back of the quilt is because I can never seem to sew a straight binding with a machine. I don't want to be ripping out any stitches, and I just prefer to do it by hand. I think it's a lot neater, and I don't like to really see any stitches on the back side of the quilt on the binding. That's the only reason. But hey, if it works for you, do it, you know, by machine. And the corners, when you put the binding on, I hope you're able to see this. What I usually do is I measure 3/8 from each side of the corner. I mark it with a pencil, and then when I'm sewing on the binding and I get to that pencil point, the marking of the point, I stop, I fold the fabric, and then I fold the corner to the left, and then I start on that same little point again, which will give me a perfect point on both sides. And then what I'm going to do the corner is I fold, I hope you can see this. I pin, and I do it on the other side. I'm trying to hurry so I can get this video to be less than 10 minutes so I can post it, so I won't have any problems. I pin, and since this little fold, I like it to go to the outside of the quilt, this is what I do. I fold this way, and I fold this way, and with a pin I just keep folding until I get a good mitered corner. And there it is. I hope you can see this. And I don't remove the pin until I sew it on by hand. And it's perfect. So the next time that I post a picture will be of the finished quilt with binding on.